Aligarh Historian Society and the person on whom this memorial lecture is being organized both are known entities. Neither does the speaker of today need any introduction. In spite of that, I would just like to remind the new young students who have recently joined the department, for whom it would be the first AHS function. I would like to introduce to them that Aligarh Historian Society is a society which was actually floated by Professor Irfan Habib and his colleagues in 1970s. It was in late, I think around 1974 or 75, during the time of the emergency, that this society came up as a very informal group, Aligarh Historians Group, in which apart from Professor Irfan Habib, the other active members were Professor M. Athar Ali, in whose memory this lecture is being held, Professor Iqtidar Alam Khan, Professor Shireen Moosvi, and certain others. We as young students were there as the workers. The initial activity which the Aligarh Historians Group took up was somewhat similar to what is needed today. It was the time when history was being actually manipulated, distorted, not in India, but for example, by a number of historians in Pakistan. There was one who, while calculating the population of the Sultanate period, he also counted the population of the jinns living in Delhi. And then there were certain other writings which came out from Aligarh itself, which were based not on facts but on wishful thinking. And the first job which Professor Irfan Habib and his colleagues did as part of the Aligarh Historians Group was to correct those distortions and present them to the students of that period. I still remember Professor Shireen Moosvi that during that period, small pamphlets of 3 or 4 pages would be brought out, and they would be distributed during the sessions of the Indian History Congress. And those, pamphlets would be actually sought by even great historians like Professor Nurul Hasan, whom I saw asking us to give him one when we went there in 1982 for the Kurukshetra Indian History Congress. Later on, by say 80s, I don't remember the year, when it was decided that this Aligarh Historians Group should now be formalized and floated as Aligarh Historian Society. And since its inception in mid-1980s, so far the Aligarh Historian Society has published around 36 books and is also, in fact, the proud, publisher publishing a journal of its own. One of the first which has tried to convert the history from above to history from below. In fact, if in 1961, Irfan Habib's agrarian system changed the outlook of looking at the emperor as the center of all authority and paying attention to the class, the works of Aligarh Historian Society, which were brought out from 2000 onwards, actually laid the foundation for the development of people's history. In fact, the journal is also named as such, and we are proud to say that perhaps it is the 12th year that we have been publishing, and it has emerged as one of the major journals of Indian history. In fact, not Indian history, but history itself. As far as Professor M. Athar Ali is concerned, naturally today's topic by Professor Irfan Habib is to introduce his academic works to you. So I would not be going into details of the academic works of Professor M. Athar Ali. I would just narrate two things. One, because people like me, Professor Ishrat Alam and certain others who are sitting here, Professor Afzal Khan, who was the research scholar of Professor M. Athar Ali, all can testify that he was one of the best teachers in the Department of History. Although it has been 28 years since he passed away, but still, we remember each and every word which he used to deliver as lecture in the class. In fact, when I still teach the same courses which were taught to me by Professor M. Athar Ali, sometimes in the middle of the class, I start remembering how my teacher would tell us about, say, for example, Akbar or Jahangir, or his pet topic, Aurangzeb. He was also very unpretentious. He was a simpleton, Sada law. I mean, if you would have met him, you would never have realized that he is one of the celebrated professors of medieval Indian history. He was down to earth. Not only that, but he was a person who was, in fact, a hamdard of the people. I still remember that when I was joining research, and during that period, Professor Irfan Habib, under whom I joined, was very much against the civil services. And one of the conditions he had laid down for us when we were joining was, kabhi civil service mat dena, research karna. M. Athar Ali Sahab heard about it when he was saying this to me, then beckoned me to his room, closed the room and said, मैं इरफान साहब की बातों को टालता नहीं हूँ, लेकिन तुम इम्तिहान ज़रूर देना, civil services देना. He was that kind of a person. So today, as I said, that 28 years, he died in 1998. And perhaps this is from the very next year, AHS has been organizing memorial lectures for him. A large number of, great personalities have actually delivered these lectures. David Lillyweld, James Westcott Jr., Jane Olemeyer, Eugenia Venina, Catherine Asher, Utsa Patnaik, Harbans Mukhia, Naman Ahuja, K.M. Shrimali, Aditya Menon, Aditya Mukherjee, Purushottam Agarwal, and a host of others have delivered this lecture. We are privileged enough that this is for the first time in all these 26 years that the president of the society and one of the closest friends of Professor M. Athar Ali, Professor Irfan Habib, agreed to deliver this lecture of which perhaps is the 27th lecture which Professor Irfan Habib would be delivering on contributions of Professor M. Athar Ali to the development of medieval Indian history. Professor Irfan Habib Sahab, please I invite you to come here.